Welcome to Celtic State of Mind. I'm John Dykes, and today I'm once again joined by Paul Lamb for the Celtic Matchworn Jersey podcast. Welcome back, Paul. How are you doing?
Not bad, Paul. Good to be back.
It's a pleasure as always. You've sent me the latest 4 jerseys from your collection. We've got 2 homes, we've got 2 aways, and they're spanning 1977 right up to 2009, Paul. So, without further ado, let's start off with the first jersey that you have selected for this week's episode. It's a home jersey, and it's famous for a specific match. Talk to us about the 1977 to 79 home green and white hoops.
This is the era where the Celtic crest first appeared in the centre of the shirt, and on the shirt in general. A lot of them had the Umbro logo to the side of the badge as well. There seemed to be a variation in a lot of them. Some of them it was a heat press logo and some are embroidered. This one must have had a heat press logo because it's missing it now. It's obviously perished over the years.
Right.
For a lot of people, it would be their choice for their favourite home shirt over the decades. It's the floppy collar with the white V-neck in the middle. Yeah. And again, that central badge.
I think when you look at this, there is only one game that springs to your mind, and it's 10 men winning the league. But I think you're right. The crest was introduced for a whole host of reasons. Obviously, it was becoming fashionable. That's what clubs were doing. They were identifying their club colours as well by putting their crest on there. But there was a few issues, for example, with Umbro tops being reproduced by other manufacturers. And this is an issue that when you're looking through the pages of old shoot magazines, Paul, or Match, and there'd be an Admiral advert, and the Admiral advert would be more or less advertising Celtic jerseys. So they were selling replica green and white hoops, exactly as the replica would look at that time. And it was only then that Umbro decided that they would start putting their manufacturer's logo on the hoops. That's when they introduced the white double diamond initially. But, I mean, they were forced to do so because manufacturers like Admiral were basically making fakes, which is absurd now when you think about it. But it probably would have been okay if it was just a set of green and white hoops. But on the advert, it was naming Celtic. So they were selling it as a Celtic jersey. I mean, Celtic obviously were also cottoning on to the times, but it was another means of ensuring that if you sold a replica jersey, then you trademarked the crest, as Celtic did with that particular crest in 1967, the 4-leaf clover, and then you would have far more control over your merchandise. So this was us entering the age, really, of commercialism, Paul, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's kind of setting it up for the whole replica market to what we've got nowadays. It was the precursor for it all.
It definitely was. It was the beginnings of Celtic and others looking towards making more money from other avenues other than the turnstile, which is obviously when sponsorship comes in a few years later. Again, it was very much a controversial decision to put a sponsor on the green and white hoops. But at the time of the crest appearing as well, people were writing in incensed, writing into the Celtic View, Paul, unhappy that this crest was desecrating the famous green and white hoops. So it's interesting now, looking back on that. I mean, looking at it in itself, it is one of the finest home jerseys. And obviously, some of the later jerseys gave a nod to this one, particularly the jersey we wore when Wim Janssen's team stopped to 10 was really a nod back to the 10 men winning the league jersey as well. So talk to us about the specific jersey that you have. Are you able, I know how difficult it is, are you able to identify matches worn or who may have worn it?
It's easy to identify matches worn because this one, luckily enough, as a European shirt, it's one of the rare ones that has the black cloth number stitched onto the back of it. Mm-hmm. For European matches, it's a number 9. Comes with a bit of a story, this shirt. When I initially purchased it, I was told that it was an item that once belonged to Bobby Lennox and was gifted to someone, which again was kind of unusual with being a number 9 because it's not a number he's generally noted for. Research at the time, I was able to, at the time when I got it, the campaign was on the go for the statue for Bobby down in Saltcoats.
Yes.
So I was able to contact people via that for some information. Straight away they told me through speaking to Bobby that generally in European games he swapped all of his shirts. Mm-hmm. So it'd be unusual for him to have still his home shirt from a European game to give to someone else, because he would have an opposition player's shirt in his possession. Again, researching number 9s at the time, as far as I'm aware, the last game this particular style of shirt was worn in was European Cup second round against Dundalk in 79. Going by research, I couldn't find any pictures to go along with this game, but it would have been Ed Vilson who was number 9 apparently for that match in the starting lineup. Again, I've no proof of that. Can't find any photographs of yet. The only number 9 I could find, there was a game previous to that, the first leg against Dundalk at home, and George McCluskey was wearing number 9 in that game. You can see, I found a picture where you can see the back of the shirt, and the number 9 matches up positionally on it, because obviously it's stitched onto the shirt, it can't be moved. But whether this was the last game that this particular shirt was worn in is impossible to prove as far as I'm concerned.
It's a difficult one when it's the hoops, Paul. The other story that I always recall when I look at this jersey, Paul, is during the 10 men winning the league game, the famous game at Celtic Park against Rangers, 4-2 game. Charlie Nicholas, Willie McStay, Danny Craney, various other ground staff boys were able to acquire some Celtic jerseys from Neely Mockin for that game. So they were in doing their work during the day at Celtic Park, sweeping the terraces, cleaning the baths, everything they had to do. But they knew where Neely used to keep the strips. So on that particular occasion, Charlie Nicholas, Danny Craney, Shanty Ferry, Jerry Crawley and Willie McStay, they all got their hands on green and white hoops, which were match-worn jerseys. They smuggled them away out. Because they finished in the afternoon, they all had to go home, and then some of them came back in for the game at night. And they were all standing in the jungle, Paul, wearing green and white hoops, but they were match-worn jerseys, right? And the interesting thing was, they've all got different recollections of this, but Jerry Crawley, who's now at Queen's Park, remembers that it was definitely numbered the jerseys that they had on that night. I wonder if one of them had number 9 on.
You never know. The interesting thing I like about this shirt is the position of the badge, which is unusual. You tend to notice the later shirts from 1980 onwards, when they moved the badge to the left-hand breast, it's in a uniform position. Right. But in these earlier, the 77 onwards ones, in the centre, you look at different pictures and the crest on the shirts are in different positions, situated on the hoops. This one, the badge it's centred on the green hoop, just below the V-neck point, and the green hoop seems to pinch in either side, as if it's been kind of stretched when the badge was embroidered onto it. And one of my favourite old Celtic pictures, features a shirt very similar to this, and it was a cracking black and white picture of, you've probably seen it, of Pelly admiring a Celtic shirt, standing with a young Paul McStay.
Yeah, seen that. Mm-hmm.
And the shirt he's standing holding, admiring, he's got it, the front of it facing the camera, and the badge positioning is identical to this one I have here, with the green hoop pinched in at either side of it. It's one of those ones, I'd love to think this was the shirt he was standing holding there.
The bold Pelé.
Never ever be able to prove something like that, but it's just one of those things.
Again, it is a matter of proof. It's very difficult going through all the early green and white hoops, Paul, simply because they were unnumbered. And it would be great to say that the books identified every player that wore each individual jersey, but it's just not been possible, unfortunately. That jersey's a cracker to get started with, and we do jump for the second jersey. We jump 20 odd years ahead for an away jersey. The away jersey that we're looking at first and foremost, Paul, is one that we wore for 2 seasons with 2 different sponsors, and it was an away jersey that at the time I wasn't a big fan of, but I think it's strange because over time, or maybe just your own tastes change, you become more fond of certain designs, and this is one of the ones that, we wore it 1998-99, and we wore it with Umbro in the middle, dead centre, and then in the following season, 1999-2000, we had moved on to NTL, so it was exactly the same strip but a different sponsor. So talk to us about the one that you have and any of the match details that you can relate to your particular jersey.
This is a as you stated, 99-2000 version with the NTL sponsor. So a long sleeve one, the blue Bank of Scotland SPL sleeve patches on it. This is one of the shirts, I think this is possibly one of the first ones we spoke about this before, with the singularly coloured embroidered club crest on it.
Yeah, yep.
I think this was one of the first times it appeared on a shirt, possibly.
I've claimed that it is. I've claimed that it is on in the book, that this is the first time that we've had a crest and it's just been a one colour crest, which I know you and I have discussed it quite a few times on the podcast. And I think looking at this particular one, because there's the white Umbro logo and the white NTL, you might have got away with having that third colour on the crest, Paul. I know that it's something that it depends on the design of the jersey, but this is one that I think would have benefited from having the full colour crest.
Yeah, I think you're right there.
Now, there's a few interesting aspects of this jersey as well. So what we're looking at here is it's largely a black jersey with lime green. So you've got lime green collar, and the collar's a V-neck with the actual flat green collar. You've got green cuffs, and then there's thin green hoops, lime green hoops, all around it. When I look at that, first player I think about is Harold Bratback. Mark Viduka as well, when he comes in, he's wearing it, Mark Burchill, that type of player. But there was a third edition, and I only got to learn this when I was talking to guys like yourself and other collectors, Paul, and the third edition had no shading. So there's a pattern on most of these jerseys, and it's the Celtic crest, isn't it? And it's continually all around the lime green hoop. There's the Celtic crest. It's a kind of grey colour, just off black.
It's unusual, and it's been halved either side of the lime green hoop that runs across the shirt, but it also seems to be staggered as well. You know, the top half doesn't align with the bottom half as it runs across.
Exactly, and it's not immediately noticeable. So if you're looking at pictures from that period, you probably can't notice that there is a wee pattern in there. But there was another jersey produced for European games, and it was just black and green. There was no shading whatsoever. So obviously an even rarer edition of this particular shirt as well. And thankfully we were able to get that third edition of this jersey photographed for the book. It was just European games that the pure black version was used in, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was just a raised number on the back of the shirt. On the plain black shirts, it didn't have a name set like the SPL games and Cup games would have had. The
one that we're discussing today then, Paul, were you able to identify the match details or who wore the jersey?
There's no specific match details for this shirt. It's made up for an SPL spec, so it would be a league away game, and it's made up for Morten Vikhorst. It's got his name and number 11 on the back of it. I've no proof that it was ever actually worn in a game, but it's a full player spec shirt, so it was definitely made up to be worn. Whether it ever was or not, I have no proof.
And again, I was talking about some of the players that remind me of this jersey. There was also the horrific images of Henrik Larsson breaking his leg against Lyon in the UEFA Cup wearing this particular jersey as well. So it is, I think it's aged pretty well. The third jersey, we're going back to the green and white hoops, and we're going back to a time, Paul, that it seemed quite an exciting time, but it turned into something of a nightmare, because this is the jersey we wore after John Barnes took over as head coach in 1999, the green and white hoops. I'm thinking of players like Rafael Scheidt, I'm thinking of Ayo Berkovic, when I look at this jersey, Olivier Tebeli, and it was a so-called dream team. John Barnes came in, and we also had a director of football operations, which was the title given to Kenny Dalglish. They came in, spent big money, and it was a bit of a disaster, that term. This is a jersey that we wore against Inverness Cally Thistle when they famously knocked us out of the Scottish Cup. So Paul, describe the jersey to us first and foremost. There's some bad memories surrounding the jersey, but looking at it, it looks like a good design to me.
Yeah, it's a pretty plain, simple green and white hoops, as a good home shirt should be. It has a kind of white panel at the shoulders where the sleeves meet the body of the shirt, which kind of breaks it up a bit either side. It's a plain round neck collar. It's actually layered. There's two aspects to it. You know, the inner part of it's just a plain green, and the outer is a white with a green pinstripe through it.
I'm looking at this jersey actually, and it is reminiscent more of the 1980s designs that Umbro produced for Celtic. We went through a period of overindulgence, I would maybe describe it as, during the 1990s, where various quirks were implemented on the hoops. This is very simple. 7 green hoops, no shading. There's a sponsor there, but that's necessary. But it's a nice simple design, And I think the only problem that I've got with it now is looking back at some of the players that unfortunately wore that. I mean, Celtic were trying to, at that time, compete with a Rangers club that were spending millions and millions of pounds that wasn't their money. And Celtic went out and bought Petrov, Berkovic, Tebele, Raphael, and it's £15 million. 15 million quid. We've gone out and spent in a pre-season. I mean, all these years later, Paul, 20 years later, if Celtic were to go out and spend £15 million in a pre-season, we'd think, wow, they've really pushed the boat out. But this was in 1999. We also brought in Bobby Petta, Ian Wright on free transfers. So a massive outlay, and this was a jersey that we wore. And thinking back, I don't know if I appreciated it as much as I do now. It's one of these ones that's aged very, very well. It's just a really cracking kit.
It's good because the previous ones before this had a lot of, as you were saying, they're quite busy shirts. There was a lot of subliminal shading in the background. The previous shirt had the large Celtic crest that's silhouetted in the green hoops.
Yeah.
So to just go back to a plain green and white colour was a good step, I think.
It definitely was. Yeah, so you think of the games, you think of the period of time. John Barnes comes in, we're winning games 7-0 against Aberdeen. We're looking good when we're good and dreadful when we're not. And obviously that all came to a head against Inverness Cali Thistle in a match we would rather forget, Paul. Have you been able to identify any further details about the shirt, the specific shirt that you have?
Yeah, this shirt was made up for a specific game at the end of 1999. Around the badge on the shirt, there's black embroidery that reads the final Old Firm match of the millennium, Celtic v Rangers. It was obviously made up for the New Year game in 1999. Memory serves it, the game finished a draw. Marco Viduka, who then became Mark Viduka, scoring the goal. But it's one of the jerseys, Paul, again, it just adds to the unique quality of that and it makes it more sought after by Matchworn jerseys. Have you seen many of these coming up for sale? I mean, it's bound to be one of the more rare jerseys. It's definitely one of the rare ones I've seen. I'm sure it was a goalkeeper shirt from this game. I'm sure it was Stuart Kerr's at the time. I think that's the only other one I've seen from this game. And because of the period as well, we don't have a lot of one-off games from that period in this shirt, whether it be cup finals or whatever. So to have a shirt with some special embroidery, or a good one-off shirt from that period, is a real good find to get hold of.
Definitely is, and thankfully we've managed to photograph the details for the book as well, Paul. Moving on a few years down the line, and we have moved shirt suppliers for the first time. We've moved from Umbro and we go on to Nike, which was a deal we signed back in 2005. By 2008, they were producing some extremely popular away jerseys, Paul, and they returned to one of our favourite seasons, the centenary season, for inspiration for season 2008-2009. Talk us through this canary yellow away jersey.
I think that pretty much describes it. It's just back to very simple, basic, all one colour strip. It has a green detail for half of the collar. It's a round neck, and the back half of it is green. It has the green Nike swoosh on it, and it has a traditional Celtic crest on it with the white and the green in it, along with the Carlin sponsor applied across the front of it. It
was a really excellent, quite simple design, but looking at it even now, the green that they used worked so well against the yellow, and it just reminds us, as I say, of centenary seasons and McAvenny and Paul McStay and his pomp, and we introduced this for one season. It was quite unfortunate that it was only one season, because it is a beautiful kit from top to toe, because obviously we also had the green shorts and yellow socks, and I think this was another one, Paul, that from time to time we would wear yellow shorts, and it was just an all yellow affair. Now, we first wore this jersey actually in July 2008. It was in a testimonial, don't know if you remember this, for Southampton's defender Klaus Ludinkvam. Remember that?
Yeah. I remember the game. I didn't remember that we actually wore this strip for that game though.
Yeah, we wore this jersey. Could you tell us then, the one you have wasn't worn in a friendly, because I can see that it's got Champions League patches on the sleeve. So tell us a wee bit more about the game that this jersey was either prepared or worn for.
This one, I believe, was prepared for an away Champions League game at Old Trafford against Manchester United. I was told that it was worn in the game. Again, proof was a wee bit lacking to back it up. So can't say with 100% certainty that it was, but it's been prepared for Lee Naylor as his name across the bat again. It's that period where the name is all in lowercase letters, unusually, rather than capitals. And it is the number 3 on the back with the UEFA Champions League logo at the bottom of the number.
Yeah, beautiful jersey. And that was a game at Old Trafford that we were beating 3-0, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Down there. But it's a cracking jersey, long-sleeved as well. I've always been a massive fan of. But I'm now looking, Paul, at the away jerseys, and I'm thinking of something. I think it was yourself that says to me that, you know, if, for example, we've had let's say a black jersey over the last 2 or 3 seasons, we probably won't have one of them next season, and they're always trying to mix it up. So we're looking at away jerseys from last season. We've got the infamous silver and pink affair, which I don't think the club will go down that colour scheme ever again. We've had a yellow and green effort, which is more of a it looked more of an Australian style away jersey last season from New Balance. Previous to that, we're looking at an all white jersey with green shorts, as well as a zigzag black and yellow. And then a season before that, we had lime green as an away jersey or a third kit. And we also had the green and green hoops with the gold. So, I mean, what are you thinking yourself for colour schemes? Because obviously we've not used a great number of colours for away jerseys. The only exceptions have really been the pink jersey, the silver jersey that utilise some forms of pink, and then the famous 1990s jersey that was the zigzag affair with various different colours of green and brown. But largely we're looking at green, black, yellow, white and a combination of the above. So what are you thinking for next season?
I would love to see a return to this kind of colour, as we spoke about. You know, it just evokes memories of the centenary season. You know, it's big memories for a lot of people. And it's, as you say, it's not a colour that's been utilised a lot over the years. The early 2000s, we had the 2 seasons where we had the similar kind of yellow strip. You know, the run to Seville, they instantly think of the Boa Vista game with Larsson wearing that yellow strip. So I think this would be a good choice for one of our away kits for next season. It'd be good to see that again.
Well, here's hoping, Paul. Here's hoping. And I'm thinking we'll probably get an announcement fairly soon, because other than social media stuff and Celtic TV output, there isn't much happening in the world of football that's coming from Celtic Park. So a big announcement with some designs, and I'm sure they'll stagger all 3 of the jerseys. Whether or not they're waiting, I don't know, because obviously they'll get a lot of mail orders. Maybe they're waiting until they get the footfall round about Celtic Park again before they launch these jerseys. Who knows? But
you're starting to see more and more clubs announcing their new kits on social media all across the world from the different manufacturers, the kit manufacturers, so you never know. It could be any day now. Well,
it would be nice, Paul, and obviously as soon as it happens we'll have a right good discussion on this Matchworn Jersey podcast. Paul, you've regaled us with another 4 jerseys from your remarkable collection, Paul. Could you remind us where to find all your Matchworn jerseys online?
The ones featured again today, and all the other ones can be viewed at www.mycelticshirts.co.uk.
It's one of the websites, Paul, that you kind of get lost in it once you start searching. So please visit the website and listen to us again next week, where we'll be talking about another 4 Matchworn jerseys from Paul's collection. Until then, Paul, take care and I'll speak to you soon.
Cheers, Paul. Catch you later.